He grew up cleaning their floors, setting their tables, and calling them sir. But what no one knew was that this poor black boy was the secret heir to a billionaire's legacy. And the truth? It was buried in a letter never meant to be opened. He was 5 years old the first time he realized the house wasn't his. Malik clutched a toy car in his tiny brown hands, watching it glide across the marble floor of the mansion's grand hallway. The echoes of laughter and clinking glasses spilled in from the parlor, voices that belonged to people with last names carved into buildings. It was the Hamilton family's annual New Year's Eve party, and Malik was supposed to be invisible. His father, Darnell, stood in a crisp black suit at the edge of the room, hands folded behind his back, eyes trained like a soldier's. He was the Hamiltons' butler, and that night, like every night, he served food, wine, silence. "Malik," his father said softly, "don't go past the double doors. You know the rules." The double doors. Beyond them, a world Malik wasn't allowed to enter unless carrying something or cleaning something. The line was invisible, but unbreakable. He nodded, but his eyes didn't leave the glittering chandelier above the parlor. It sparkled like magic. He dreamed of touching it, owning it, being part of it. That night, as the fireworks cracked across the sky, Malik sat at the edge of the servants' quarters, a warm plate of leftovers in front of him. He watched the Hamiltons on TV. They were being interviewed for a charity gala. Mrs. Hamilton talked about giving back. Mr. Hamilton talked about legacy. But neither of them ever looked at Malik like he mattered. And yet, Mrs. Hamilton once gave him a book, a worn copy of Great Expectations. "To feed your imagination," she said with a thin smile. He didn't understand the book then, but it stayed on his shelf, even when everything else changed. Years passed. Malik became a teenager, sharp-minded and quiet. He walked the halls with a tray in one hand and headphones in his ears, not to disrespect, but to drown out the sound of money talking. He listened to podcasts, history, business, power. He knew how they moved, how they whispered things in rooms they thought were safe. He was invisible, and he was listening. He started to notice things, small things, keys left on desks, papers unsigned, names dropped in whispers. And one day, something huge, a letter, locked in the back drawer of Mr. Hamilton's oak desk. It was addressed to Darnell, his father, and stamped with a law firm's seal. Malik stood frozen. The drawer was only open because the cleaning lady had forgotten to lock it after polishing the antique desk. The corner of the envelope peeked out like it wanted to be found. His father's name. A real law firm. It couldn't be junk mail. He looked over his shoulder. Empty hallway, quiet as ever. Darnell was downstairs prepping dinner for a surprise guest. This was his chance. He slid the envelope out carefully, hands trembling. Inside, a single-page letter on heavy paper. "Dear Mr. Darnell Carter, this is in regard to the final revision of Charles Hamilton Sr.'s last will and testament." Malik's heart dropped. Will? He kept reading, mouth dry, eyes widening with every line. "As per your request, the revised documentation naming Malik Carter as beneficiary remains sealed under Clause 18 until triggered by Mr. Hamilton's passing or breach of prior agreement." He couldn't believe what he was reading. Malik. His name. Why would he be in the will of a billionaire? He read it again, and again. Malik Carter. Not a servant. Not invisible. A beneficiary. His fingers tightened around the paper. His breathing quickened. The chandeliers above him dimmed as the dusk outside swallowed the mansion's light. Suddenly, "Boy, what you doing in here?" He flinched, crumpling the letter slightly. Mr. Tate, the head of security, leaned in the doorway with a suspicious look. Broad, bald, and built like a tank, always watching. "Nothing. Just cleaning up," Malik said, forcing a cough and sliding the letter back in place. Tate squinted, Don't get too comfortable, Malik. You ain't family. You never will be. That stung. But Malik didn't answer. He just nodded, lowered his head, and walked away, hands in his pockets, fists clenched tight around truth. That night, he sat in the dark, staring at his ceiling. The letter haunted him. Why was he named in the will? What was the agreement? Did his father know? And what did breach mean? Suddenly, everything felt different. The mansion, once just a place he lived in, now held secrets, clues, lies, and maybe power. But power had a price. Dinner at the Hamilton estate was always formal. White linen, polished silver, glasses that clinked like crystal bells. But tonight, Malik couldn't taste a thing. His mind stayed locked on that letter, a will, with his name on it. Why? He sat at the long servants' table in the back wing with Darnell across from him, silent, eyes tired, hands rough from decades of unseen labor. Malik watched his father cut his food with slow precision. So many nights like this, quiet, distant, routine. But tonight, he had to ask, "Dad, did you ever know Mr. Hamilton's father?" Darnell paused. His knife froze mid-cut. "Why you ask that?" Malik shrugged. "Just heard some of the guests talking. Said he was a different kind of man." Darnell's eyes narrowed. "Old man Hamilton was powerful, smart, private, but he died a long time ago, before your time. Did you ever work for him?" A long silence. "Yes," Darnell said finally. "When I first came to this house." Malik leaned in. "Were you close?" Another pause. Then, "Close enough to see things, but not close enough to be seen." That line hit hard. Malik swallowed. "If someone put my name in a will, what would that mean?" Darnell stared at him now. The silence between them thickened like smoke. "Where did you hear that?" he asked, voice lower now. "I didn't," Malik lied. "Just wondering." Darnell stood slowly, collected his plate, and walked toward the sink. "Rich people don't give away anything unless it serves them. That's all you need to know." Malik's heart pounded. His father was hiding something. He knew it now. Later that night, Malik crept back into the study. The letter was gone. The drawer had been cleaned out. Someone knew it had been touched, and someone didn't want it to be found again. From that moment on, Malik knew he had two choices: forget what he saw, or follow the trail, wherever it led. The next morning, Malik woke with a plan, and questions burning in his chest like fire. He needed answers. Not from his father, who clearly wouldn't talk, and definitely not from the Hamiltons. But there was one place he hadn't looked yet: the mansion's library. It was Mr. Hamilton Sr.'s favorite room when he was alive, filled with old ledgers, journals, letters, and secrets. The heavy oak doors creaked open as Malik stepped inside. Morning sunlight poured through the arched windows, casting golden light across rows of towering bookshelves. The air smelled like dust, leather, and time. He began scanning the shelves. His fingers brushed over spines worn with age. He didn't know what he was looking for until he heard someone say, "You're not supposed to be in here." He spun around. A girl stood by the fireplace, arms crossed. Same age, light brown skin, sharp eyes. She wore jeans and a Yale hoodie, confident, observant. "Who are you?" Malik asked. "I'm Ava, Mrs. Hamilton's niece, visiting for the week. And you?" "I live here." "Oh, so you're the butler's kid." That stung, but he nodded. "And you're the rich kid who thinks she owns the room?" She smirked. "Touché." They stood in awkward silence. Then Malik asked, "You ever hear of Charles Hamilton's original will?" Her eyebrows rose. "You mean the one everyone pretends never existed?" His pulse jumped. "You've seen it?" "Number. But I know my uncle fought hard to keep it buried. My mom said something about ungrateful servants and dangerous paperwork." That was years ago. Dangerous paperwork. Malik felt dizzy. His name wasn't just a mistake. This was bigger, older. "Why are you asking about it?" she asked. He hesitated, then looked her in the eye. "Because I think I'm in it." She blinked. "Wait. What?" "I found a letter," Malik said quietly, "with my name on it. Then it disappeared. And now everyone's acting strange." Ava looked at him differently now, not like a servant, not like a stranger, like someone holding a bomb. "We need to find that will," she said. Ava didn't flinch. "Meet me tonight. After lights out. Bring gloves." Malik had no idea what he'd just agreed to. But as night fell, the mansion took on a different kind of silence. Heavy, secretive, like it was listening. They met outside the east stairwell, flashlights in hand. Ava had clearly done this before. "You sure about this?" Malik whispered. "Secrets like this don't stay buried on accident," she whispered back. "Let's go." They climbed to the attic, a part of the house even the staff avoided. Cobwebs clung to the corners. The air was stale. Cardboard boxes lined the floor like unmarked graves. Ava moved fast. "My uncle had an old filing cabinet up here. Mom said he brought everything up here after the will got rewritten." Rewritten. That word echoed in Malik's head. They found the cabinet in the far corner, half buried under sheets and dusty chairs. The metal creaked as they pulled open the drawer. Files inside, birth records, contracts, handwritten notes. Then Malik froze. He held up a faded photo, a black woman holding a baby. On the back, Darnell Carter, 1997, his father. "That's you," Ava whispered. "That's your dad." Malik's throat tightened. "That woman, that's not my mom." "Then who is she?" Before Malik could answer, a loud creak came from the floorboards behind them. They spun around, flashlights shaking, just as footsteps echoed up the stairwell. "Hide!" Ava whispered, yanking Malik behind an old dresser. The footsteps got louder, closer, then stopped. A man's voice. "Thought I heard something." It was Mr. Tate, the security chief. Malik's pulse pounded in his ears. They didn't move, didn't breathe. After a long minute, the steps retreated. Ava peeked out. Clear. Malik exhaled, heart still racing. He looked down at the photo again. His dad. A woman he didn't recognize. A baby that might have been him. And tucked beneath it, a folded legal document. The heading read, "Amendment to Last Will and Testament, Clause 18, Private Addendum." They had found it. The paper in Malik's hand trembled. Clause 18. The legal language was dense, but Ava helped him read through it line by line. "In the event of Mr. Charles Hamilton Sr.'s passing, a portion of the estate shall be designated for the benefit of Malik Carter, son of Darnell Carter and Veronica Hensley, as outlined in the confidential amendment." Malik's breath caught. Veronica Hensley. "Who is that?" Ava asked gently. "My mom's name is Lisa. I've never heard of this woman." A cold realization spread through him. He had always been told his mother died when he was a baby, that she was poor, sick, gone. But what if she wasn't? What if she was someone they erased? Ava held up the photo again. "You think this is Veronica?" Malik nodded slowly. "And that baby? It's me." He felt dizzy, betrayed, confused. Why hadn't his father told him? Why would a powerful white billionaire name him the child of a servant in his will? Unless... "No way," he whispered. Ava looked at him. "What? What if he wasn't just my father's boss?" The idea hit him like lightning. What if Charles Hamilton Sr. was his father? Ava's eyes widened. "You think he had a relationship with your mom?" "It makes sense. It explains the secrecy, the amendment, why my dad avoids talking about it, why that clause was buried." Malik stood up, pacing. His whole life, the invisible boy in the mansion, had just cracked open. He wasn't just a butler's son. He might be a Hamilton. That night, he sat in his tiny bedroom holding the photo. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't sit still. So he confronted the only man who might know the truth. He found Darnell in the kitchen, cleaning up. "Who is Veronica Hensley?" Malik asked. Darnell froze. The sponge slipped from his hand. He didn't turn around. "You read that will, didn't you?" he asked quietly. Malik stepped forward. "You lied to me. My whole life." Darnell finally turned. His face was hard, hurt, worn. "I protected you," he said. "From them. From their world." "You protected yourself," Malik shot back. "From the truth." A beat of silence. Then Darnell whispered, "He was your father, Charles Hamilton Sr." Malik's heart shattered and rebuilt in the same breath. Everything had changed. The next morning, the mansion felt different. Not just to Malik, to everyone. The staff whispered more quietly. The house seemed colder. The tension, once hidden in shadows, now walked in daylight. Malik waited until breakfast, the one time all the Hamiltons sat together in the dining room. Crystal glasses, French omelets, chatter about stock markets and new golf memberships. He stepped in quietly, eyes focused, letter in hand. Mrs. Hamilton looked up, surprised. "Malik, is something wrong?" He didn't answer her. He looked at Mr. Hamilton Jr., the heir, the man who had rewritten the past. "You knew," Malik said, calm, steady. "You knew about the will, about my mother." The room froze. Silence fell like a thunderclap. Mr. Hamilton put down his fork, his jaw tightening. "I don't know what you're talking about, son." "I'm not your son," Malik snapped. "I'm Charles Hamilton Sr.'s son. I have his blood." His name, Mrs. Hamilton, paled. Her hand shook slightly. Ava stepped into the room behind him. "He's telling the truth. I saw the papers, too." Mr. Hamilton Jr. stood. "Those documents were sealed. You had no right—" "They were about me," Malik interrupted. "I had every right." Mr. Hamilton's voice rose. "You're the son of help. Don't confuse charity for legacy." Darnell appeared in the doorway, eyes locked with Malik. He said nothing, but stood there, solid, supportive. "I want what's mine," Malik said. "What was written in the will, what your father wanted." Mrs. Hamilton finally spoke, softly. "You think this is about money?" "No," Malik said. "It's about truth." Mr. Hamilton's mask cracked for a moment. Rage, fear, and something else, guilt. "You'll get nothing," he said. "You were never supposed to know." Ava stepped forward. "And if we go public? That your father left part of his estate to a black child and you buried it?" She pulled out her phone. One photo. The will's clause. It was enough. Mr. Hamilton slumped back into his chair. Beaten, but not defeated. Malik turned to leave. Before he stepped out, he looked back. "I may be the butler's son, but I know what family means. It's not about silver spoons or secret papers. It's about who shows up when the world tries to erase you." And with that, he walked out, into a new future. The mansion felt silent, but not peaceful. Malik had dropped a truth bomb in the center of a dynasty, and the echo of it rang through every hallway. Mrs. Hamilton didn't come out of her room that day. Mr. Hamilton Jr. made phone calls in whispers, and the staff looked at Malik differently, not like the butler's boy, but like someone whose shadow had grown. But Malik didn't care about looks. He cared about one thing: truth. He sat alone in the library with Ava, sunlight pouring in through the tall windows. The original will, the addendum, lay in front of them. Verified. Real. Sealed by a firm that no longer existed, but still valid. "He was going to give you the West property," Ava said. "The house on the hill, and a trust fund for education. Enough to build a life." Malik nodded. but his face was unreadable. "What are you going to do with it?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his backpack and pulled out the old copy of Great Expectations, the one Mrs. Hamilton gave him when he was little. "I used to think this book was a gift," he said. "But it was a warning about how money changes people, about how truth gets buried when power's involved." Ava looked down, thoughtful. "You still want it? The inheritance?" Malik shook his head. "I want to earn my life, not inherit it, but I want them to know who I am, who they tried to erase." Darnell entered the library slowly, holding something in his hand. A photo. Veronica Hensley, Malik's mother. "She didn't want to leave you," Darnell said quietly. "But when the Hamiltons found out she was pregnant, they sent her away, paid her off, threatened everything." He looked Malik in the eyes. "I should have told you sooner. I was scared of what they'd do to you, of what you'd think of me." Malik stared at the photo, eyes glassy. "She loved you, son. So much." Malik didn't speak. He just stood, walked forward, and hugged his father, the first time in years. No words, just truth between them, and a boy who finally felt seen. A week passed. The Hamiltons did what rich families do when the truth leaks. They called lawyers, tried to settle, tried to rewrite history one more time. But this time, Malik didn't stay quiet. He didn't go to the press. He didn't threaten. He sent a single, simple message through Ava. "I don't want your money. I want what he promised me. A chance." What followed changed everything. With Ava's help and the document's legal weight, Malik gained ownership of the West property, a house that had sat empty for years on the edge of the Hamilton estate, nearly forgotten. It wasn't just a house now, it was his beginning. Malik and Darnell stood outside the gate, a rusted lock, a cracked sign. "Still want this place?" Darnell asked. Malik smiled. "I don't want it. I need it." Together, they stepped inside. The house was dusty, quiet, but it had bones, character, a story waiting to be told. And that's exactly what Malik planned to do. "I'm turning this into a community center," he told Ava a week later. "Tutoring, meals, music, business classes, a space for kids who grow up hearing they don't belong." Ava blinked. "That's not what most people would do." Malik looked at her. "I'm not most people." She smiled. "No, you're not." They began clearing rooms. Malik painted walls with friends from the staff. Darnell helped fix the roof. Even some former Hamilton employees, ones who remembered the old man fondly, showed up to help. Word spread, quietly at first, then louder. The butler's son, building something real, not chasing revenge, building legacy. Late one evening, Malik stood alone in what used to be the dining room. Now it had whiteboards, desks, bookshelves. He placed one thing in the center of the shelf, that old copy of Great Expectations. Next to it, a framed photo of his mother, and below them, a plaque that read, "In memory of those who were never meant to be remembered, and in honor of those who remember anyway." 6 months later, the West House was no longer just a house. It breathed. Laughter echoed in its halls. Children played piano in rooms that once sat silent. Teens learned coding where the Hamiltons once dined in silence. Mothers read books in sunlit corners. Fathers found peace on porches. Malik, still just a boy by age, had become something much more in spirit. A builder, a bridge, a legacy. One afternoon, while organizing boxes of donated supplies, he came across something unexpected. A small brass key in a velvet pouch. No note, no explanation, just a number, B12. It took him a minute. The mansion's basement archive, the locked cabinet labeled B12 that had never been opened, even by staff. Supposedly empty, supposedly off limits. He knew he shouldn't go back. But some doors. Call you. That night, under the stars, he returned to the main estate. The halls felt quieter now, almost smaller. He made his way down the old back stairwell, heart steady. The key slid into the lock. Click. Inside, a single box. Inside the box, dozens of letters, photos, legal drafts, and one envelope. It was handwritten. To my son, should he ever learn the truth. Malik sat on the cold floor, opened the envelope. Inside was a letter from Charles Hamilton Sr. It was raw, regretful, human. You were born in the shadows of my shame, but you deserve to live in the light of your own making. They told me you'd be better off not knowing. I was wrong. You were never the butler's son. You were mine. And I failed you. Malik read every word, not with tears, not with rage, but with a stillness that comes from knowing I'm not invisible anymore. He folded the letter, stood, and left that basement for the last time. The next morning, the camera of a local news station rolled as they covered the opening of the center. Malik stood in front of the new sign, the Carter House, a place for possibility. A journalist asked, "You're just a kid. Why do this?" He smiled. "My story started with secrets," he said, "but it ends with truth. And I think a lot of kids out there, they're just waiting for someone to open the right door." Fade out.